It's showtime.
Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. We're here watching DM versus SouL. DM actually took a very surprising 1-0 lead in the series when
Yeah.
Kiri took down Richley with a really cool Reaver counter to 2-fact. So really well played by him. And that's an exciting start to the series.
Yeah, it is. I think game number 2 and 3 are also going to be equally as exciting for different reasons. And this is one of the good things is that players are going to be playing their regular races this time. So
Yeah.
none of this like race swapping or subbing. It's going to look a little bit more normal going into our next couple of games.
Yeah, so to announce our next couple of players, it's going to be Tech for DM. Now, Tech, at one point, I called their ultimate ace because in round 1, he pretty much not single-handedly, of course he is part of a team, and all of DM did really well in round 1, but Tech won so many games and so many ace matches to bring DM into the playoffs of round 1. They did come 4th overall. Unfortunately, they did lose to Net Wars and White Clan. Two clans, two teams that are really good, so nothing to be ashamed of there. Tech historically did really well. PvT hasn't been his strength though. 1 for 5 for him. Scan, of course, an absolute king of Terran in the foreign scene. He's been in the foreign scene for a while now. He's currently doing his military service, but because he isn't playing live and because he isn't on stream making any money, he is allowed to play in the STPL, which is really cool. So he's been practicing up still,
Yeah.
playing a lot of games, played all 6 weeks for SouL so far. So he's going to be playing here in week number 6.
Yeah.
He's currently 4 for 2 against Protoss, so doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, that's right. I actually had dinner with Scan a couple nights ago. So he's doing very well. Said to say hi to everybody, and he wouldn't spoil his STPL game for me. So I still don't know the outcome of this, but we did go on a pretty cool date night with a very special end to it. But I won't spoil what that is either.
Okay, now I'm intrigued, but I guess this is a story for another day. The map we're going into is going to be Shin Peaks of Baekdu, 2-player map from 2007. I know it's one of your favourite maps, so it should be cool to see this here. PvT, Scan has bled on this map before. Can he be made to bleed again? Yeti took down Scan on this map with a calculated DT rush from a proxy gateway. And I wonder if we're going to see Tech try something similar to see if he can make magic happen twice. Shit, Pizza Maker. Okay, without further ado, let's get into game number 2 here on Shin Peaks of Baekdu. Okay, starting us off here in the 2 o'clock position, we do have the blue Protoss fighting for DM. It's Tech.
That's right, and his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner in the purple, as Terran playing for SouL, is Scan. So let's see how this is going to go. Obviously, both players playing their main races. It is a PvT. A lot of times, Scan will play this pretty defensively, but he also is always looking for weaknesses. And when you mentioned that Yeti beat Scan on this map, that was super down and dirty. Like proxy DT, those are the things that you have to do like a certain number of Hail Artanuses as you climb up the staircase or something like that to atone for sins like that. But I don't think that Tech is going to go for anything that down and dirty. If he does, well, I guess maybe he took a lesson out of Yeti's playbook.
Yeah, now TT1's saying there's a black screen, but it's showing fine on OBS, other people can see it as well, so Splank's helpfully saying open your eyes. But yeah,
Yeah.
nothing.
A classic build order, the old opening eyes thing. I like to start my day off with the whole like beating my heart and moving my lungs thing, but like also opening the eyes helpful to do for StarCraft.
Yeah, so not really too much crazy going on at the moment in this game. We do have a single gateway in the main, nothing proxied as of yet. Looks like Scan announcing when he's done in the military. 2025th or 25th of May, so a little bit to go for him. But 22 months, that's a long, long time. Hopefully it won't be too long before they push through that regulation to reduce it to
Oh,
however
that
much.
doesn't affect. That's not
That's
retroactive.
yeah,
So
no,
you
I
don't.
know it's not going to
Yeah.
affect him, but for everyone else, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
That's
Either
why,
way, it is. It can't come soon enough.
yeah, it's one of the things that I mean, obviously, while there's a little bit of downtime, one of the things I've noticed about the Korean pros who are like, "Oh, I'm going to the army now." It's like, do you have to? Can you not like put it off maybe a year again, and then maybe you don't have to go for as long? But there's a few of them that have just headed off. So I know Sak went like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, and I've been missing his stream, but luckily JYJ came back, so things are getting better.
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of them that are just fixing to leave because it does come up around the same time for a lot of players, and then they peace out and come back. But regardless of that, to talk about the game, at least one of the things that you can always say about Scan is that while the first series had the most non-standard builds I've ever seen, Scan's games always look pretty by the book. And that is because he's a big proponent of watching and following a lot of pro Korean strategies. Very, very good at executing those, and definitely has the mechanics to do it. So it's one of the reasons why he's a really, really strong player in the non-Korean Brood War scene, and even in the amateur scene. He's gotten very, very close to qualifying for ASL a couple of times. I remember sitting behind him, watching him play his games, and some heartbreaking losses, but still some very good games, even at the highest level. So.
Yes, Scan is one of those players that's been around forever. He did well when he was streaming. He was doing really well on ladder, but he never quite made it into any of the big tournaments. He did really well in that Chinese tournament with I can't remember the name of it. I think it was it Weggle? Was that one?
No, the Chinese team was the Hangzhou StarCraft
That's
Carnival.
it. Yeah, him and Shiny came first and second if I remember rightly, but both of them did really
I
really
think
well.
I thought Beast came in for somewhere in there, but yeah, you are correct. He, Beast, and Shiny all did very, very well in that tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, Scan unfortunately never quite made it into any of the OSLs, MSLs. Hasn't made it into an ASL yet. Obviously, he can't qualify until he's back from the army now either. But Scan's still a very, very good player. Very calculated. Very, very good at practicing. Like the amount I used to watch his stream as well, just to try and glean a little bit of information on how he used to do the things. Because one of the best things about Scan, he's very active in the foreign community. He did live in America for a good number of years, so has really, really good English, better English than a lot of English people I know. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and very good taste in sushi as well. Uh, it was delicious. So I let him be my guide when it comes to StarCraft, and he talked to me. I think something about something close to the build that he's doing here. Second factory on the way, but of course he's already built his command center. And I think that is it's very safe. I know a lot of Terrans. It takes a lot of discipline to not build that on location, but of course maybe better safe than sorry there, because last time he played on this map he got DT rushed. So
yeah.
definitely making sure that that's not how he dies this time.
Even now, he's like keeping his marines and tanks at the top of the ramp, just blocking until his SCVs get down there, and you can be sure there's not too much down there. Tech, of course, is expanding as well, but Scan with a good bit of micro, doing a little bit of damage to that Dragoon. Although the Dragoon I thought he damaged actually didn't take any damage at all, so what do I know? I am almost as blind as TT1. But yeah, looks like TT1's got his screen back, which is good. TT1, if that ever happens again, press the control key and F5. That will clear your cache, and that should fix the problem.
No, you're off by one. It's the control and then the F4 key. That's what fixes it.
No, that's Alt and F4.
Close enough.
This is why they pay me the big bucks in support, you know?
Wow, you know what keyboard buttons do, Kix. You're so smart.
Well, to be fair, like the people I work with, like not in my office, but many people do not know what the keyboard buttons do. If you know what the keyboard buttons do, you are genuinely computer literate, and you should feel happy, because some people, it feels like they get pulled out of a time capsule. They've lived in the Victorian era for the past 100 years, and all of a sudden they get locked up, put in front of a computer and told to work. And it's like, not so sure about that, Chief. You got to teach them how to use it first.
Yeah. They're all Protoss players, by the way. These are the people who play on ladder.
Artis is probably sitting there, like, rubbing his hands together, like, yeah, Rapid's right.
Well, I mean, he is awake by now, which is ludicrous to me, because at some point I will need to not be awake anymore. But that comes after STPL. So let's talk about the way that things are going. Obviously, Scan kind of needs to bring it back for his team, see how he plans to do that. He has started to lay mines all around the map. He's got crazy vision. In fact, if you toggle the vision, it's actually kind of ludicrous to see how much space he contains. He's even gonna find this upper left-hand expansion when the vultures finally make it up there, and this is not gonna be good for Tech's extra base.
Yeah, and the thing is, due to the layout of this map, it's going to be very difficult for Tech to actually go for a counter either. There's mines absolutely everywhere. Obviously, Scan doing a really good job there. Scan with just 3 tanks, 5 vultures and 4 marines. Looks like he's going to actually be able to move in and cancel this third base from Tech, and that's unheard of. Like, this shouldn't work, but it is. Scan is getting into a great position.
He doesn't even have to siege.
Tech's just giving it up. So Tech cancels. He's going to try and go for a counter, but obviously the ground distance you have to cover on this map to go for a counter very, very high. Scan already has a couple of units in reserve. Admittedly, not a lot, but he's still got a lot of mines that Tech is going to have to clear through. And Tech's going to think better of it, stay back home, and see if he can tech up. He's going to add on another 4 gateways. No forge in sight for him as of yet. So he's going to go for a Citadel as well. So 7 gate, Citadel of Adun, very possibly 2 gate Arbiter here.
Yeah, we could definitely see that. I got to watch this build in action in I think a couple days ago in BSL. Did not work out at all. So maybe it'll work out here. But obviously, if you're going for a 2-base build against Scan, one of the best ways to deal with low economy opponents is by scouting them, because obviously you have more infrastructure to deal with that. So he hasn't actually built his 3rd base yet, but he does have the command center just now completing. So he has the option to pull back, play defensively, and get that up. But first, the vulture drop.
Yeah, now the funny thing is, Tech actually saw this with the Observer. He chased the dropship along, but he didn't have his Dragoons in the right position. They kind of went down the ramp, which he has mined the minerals out, in case you haven't seen this map before. There are actually stacked minerals here, 40 of them to be precise, so you need about 5 SCV or probe worth of mining. Tech's going to take his 3rd base in a slightly different location, but of course that does leave his back door open, so if Scan wants to go for it, he could possibly push up into this top left location, and not only is that going to secure an attack path for him, it's also going to secure this 3rd base.
Yeah, so Scan is really in a great spot right now. He has lots of economy. His macro is just really kicking into high gear. I think he's working off of 4 factories right now, but should be adding on another 2 or so here momentarily. But he also has the ability to build dropships and come into that base or the base on the 3 o'clock location, even though there's Dragoons blocking there. So his vulture drop did get shut down eventually. But I'm just saying there's a lot that he can do from this point on.
Yeah, now Tech is actually going to double expand. This isn't necessarily a bad idea. The only problem is he is going to be expanding towards Scan in some ways. Obviously the better expansion that's going to be easier to defend is this sort of right-hand base, because the ground distance is a lot higher for Scan to cover. But looks like we could even end up with a split map situation here. Now Scan, of course, is going to have a little bit of an advantage here. He does have a lot more land controlled already. Another observer going down to another turret, so Tech is kind of in the dark right now. He can see a few mines, but not too much else. Scanning for the army, seeing that we're starting to see the Zealot flood coming in. The Citadel of Adune's obviously done. Templar Archive's finally on the way with the Stargate, so it's going to be 4 base Arbiter when this does come in. But both players playing a little bit more passive now.
Yeah, just clearing out mines, macroing back at home. Nothing super exciting to write home about. This is where like only Artosis thinks this is an exciting part of the game. I'm just like, well, yeah, man, that ability to build units. Tell me more. And in truth, if you have no ability other than the ability to build units, you're still going to win a lot of games because just having stuff is pretty good. Unlike in the real world where it only brings you sadness kicks. There's your morality lesson for the day.
Wow, so deep rapid. Looks like we're going to have a vulture going up here to this top left base. Only going to find a couple of probes and a couple of cannons. Not managing to even get the probe, unfortunately. Is going to try and do as much damage to this cannon as humanly possible. Does get one probe, so that's something. Going to get a second one as well. And that's a good trade for Scan. Not only does he get the 2 probes, which is a good trade for him, he also gets the information. And another load of vultures going to be coming up here, trying to break their way through and try and lay some more annoying mines. One of the mines does go off on the vulture, on the zealots even, but Scan still doing damage where damage shouldn't be found.
You know, I never know why Protoss players build this wall. It's always this wall at the natural expansion because it doesn't actually stop vultures from killing all of your probes, but it does make them maybe a little bit easier to kill. And so he does deal with that, vulture run by. But
Yeah.
I feel like every second as a Protoss player that you're not putting something in motion to kill the Terran is a second where they are still having a pretty good chance at macroing their way into a devastating advantage. And so right now there's already +1. 2-1 is about halfway done. And as soon as that kicks in, it's going to be a really scary time for Tech.
Yeah, now we're going to see Scan go up to 8 factories here. He's maxing very, very quickly here. Obviously, he's thrown away, well, not thrown away, but he's traded away a lot of vultures here. So his supply is a little bit lower. Usually we'd see Flash kind of about to max, if not already max, around 13 minutes. The kind of game does differ, obviously, depending on how many vultures you build early on. But Tech's kind of got his army very, very spread out at the moment. This could be quite dangerous, because when Scan does decide to push, which should be coming up soon, around 180 supply, as he starts to max out, how is Tech going to be able to deal with this? A large group of Dragoons on both sides of the map, unable to really help. Zealots are going to be able to move through the middle, which is something. But not only is Tech going to have trouble moving his army, so is Scan. Scan's army is going to be kind of stuck, going the far left, and it looks like Tech sniffed this out. He does have, well, he did have an observer here scouting for this, so Tech is going to try and come in from this high ground to see if he can take down the units of Scan here.
Well, these mines are actually scouting out the positioning for Tech, so Scan knows exactly where he needs to position, which can be a liability of mech armies. It can be a little bit slow to move around the map, but he's got high ground, he's got tanks sieging up. Oh my gosh, this is not going to work out, my friend. He's also got D-Matrix there in the front. It goes down instantly, but so will these Zealots if they stay here for much longer, and that is going to push Tech way back to a high ground of his own.
Yeah, so Tech gonna trade away a lot of his Zealots for very little advantage here. Another Dragoon gonna go down to the Vultures chasing. And he's gonna have to have the perfect engagement here if he wants to hold on. The tanks in the back are sieging up, doing a lot of damage to these Dragoons. And Tech's army is absolutely melting. He didn't wait for the Arbiter to push in there. That's a big, big mistake. I mean, he's gonna be away off from stasis. The double expansions, while a good idea at the time, I mean, he's actually going for recall here as well, so he's going to be trying to recall back in Scan space. This could do a lot of damage, but can he even hold on to his main? Can he hold on to his natural? It's going to be very difficult. There's just so many units here from Scan.
I feel like when you go for recall, you have to be able to throw those units away and still hold on. At this point, if Tech recalled, I think Scan would just go kill him. There is the stasis. I guess it was done earlier. I wasn't paying attention to that. But the tanks are stasis in the back. And, he's killing a few of them, but there's just not enough units here. He's dropping down to 90 supply.
And GG, Tech can't hold on any longer. He realizes there's too many tanks outside of his base. And with a really well-played TVP, Scan's going to take that game.
Yeah, congratulations. Scan brings it back for SouL and ties the series up at 1-1. So that makes it essentially a best of 3. And after our first series, I think we know how fast the best of 3 can be over.
We do. So we're going to be heading into game number 3 in just a second. It's going to be Tai 2 versus Yaj. See you guys very